Father's Day has a lot of layers to it. I was at DI a week earlier and I bought this parchment thing that had calligraphy writing that reminded me of my mom's. And the night that I made Father's Day, a friend that I had plans with to get through the day, those plans fell through at the same time as that some glass broke. And I was very triggered. And I cut my hair and I took seven very heavy-duty sleeping pills to compensate for the suicidal feelings. And then I went and grabbed a beer bottle with a pink ribbon around it. The beer bottle was a Blue Moon beer bottle. And so I'm standing there with the beer bottle, and I just took the pills and I just cut my hair, and then I was inspired to go and grab the parchment I had bought at DI, and it said, "My precious daughter, I stroked your curls while I rocked you to sleep. You are my precious moment tied with a pink ribbon." And the Blue Moon beer bottle, my earliest memories of my Uncle Steve singing to me. On Stars 8 tonight, I was just a 2-year-old, I was looking up at the moon, and so that was my precious moment tied with a pink ribbon. We had done it days before, I didn't know why, but things were starting to make sense. The sleeping pills I had took, that was a reference to my mom stroking my curls to sleep. And so it's like I bought that parchment, that piece at DI. It represents my mother saving me. So it's very beautiful. I went back to it a few months later after I'd had some more experiences. And I added it to it with the blue marker that time, a conversation I had with a bishop that I reached out to when I was, my 15-year-old doctor was there. He was my bishop when I was 15. And I told him I was hurting, and his reaction was, and he knew that my father had molested me. He knew that. But still his reaction was, "Christina, don't you dare blame your parents." I didn't know who he wanted me to blame. My uncle, who's a state president, when I was having my complex PTSD breakdown, you go through a lot of breakdowns to get to this, he told my parents to watch their boundaries with me because I had lost the spirit of Jesus. So this is a typical reaction that I get from Mormon clergy. I am the problem, but you know what, I shouldn't be. This piece is called Mary. It has Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Mary Magdalene, who had 7 demons cast out of her by Jesus. And I read in Trauma and some kind of book on, it was Trauma and Survivor. It said that all of the women in the Bible, in the Book of Mormon, who have all these spirits, all these demons, those were daddy issues. That makes sense. If I was back in Bible days, I could definitely see them saying this was demons. So I had a strong connection to Mary Magdalene because I could feel she had the same hurt. And Mary, the mother of Jesus, she bore the universe. And this Mary is based also off of some lyrics from Aurora. She's like an agnostic prophetess, and she holds God responsible. She says, if there is a God, I don't think he can hear all of us. And if there is a God, would we even know his name? And if there is a God, I think he would shake his head and walk away. I feel Mary's pain. This is little Christina. That was when I was having my first breakdown. I was 28. And there's this artist on Instagram who would take a picture of herself after she cried. And everyone was like, "Oh, that's so brave." And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a picture of myself too. Watch me take a picture of myself while I am crying. And I caught her. You can feel the pain, the blind contour of it. I want to explain my drawings are made by automatic writing. That's a characteristic of DID and some other very serious things. And they're also blind contours. So automatic blind contour, I'm not looking at the paper while I draw, and it's very interesting the things that come out. There's a red R. That comes out, my father's name is Richard. There's a nail. There's acid. There's the letter A, which we'll get to in a second. But there's all these signs that come in, and I'm trying to understand what it means, but you can see in my art, I think my authors are trying to tell me something. This is my own Jesus. Like I said, I don't plan my art. I like the way the paint drips from the O. There's something sexual about that O. You can feel a child in this Jesus, because there is one. There is a sense of innocence and understanding. This is the A that I have felt. It's based off a poem that I wrote in my creative writing class at BYU. It's called Exposed, and it was about my experience there because I was very sexual, and I was wrong for that. Boys would treat me like I was a whore because I was one. The poem goes, she was promiscuous, she could not hide, her shame-driven longing etched deep in her eyes. Though he was indifferent, she couldn't conceal the secrets she lifted her skirts to reveal. Her darkest desires, her personal truths, intimate details of days from her youth. She offered her soul on a platter. He hardly listened. She hardly mattered. Bursting with passion she couldn't confine, she broke down to strangers in grocery store lines. Her help unencumbered, the fight she'd protest, memories her heart would not let her forget. At night, she would vomit her feelings bent over, then cry through the morning's regretful hangover. Damaged from all the degrading exposure, she wore her heart on her sleeve like a slut on the corner. My professor said, didn't you think that's kind of an edgy poem for BYU? A little controversial, isn't it? And I said, yes, but doesn't that make it all the more appropriate?